The first question is to describe specific strategies you have to retain and expand public and private sector jobs for the west and east sides of the city. And we're going to start off with the mayoral candidates with Ms. Allison and Mr. Rindorn.
Thank you very much. And with my background in economic development, we know that the greatest job generator are small businesses. So what we must do is take care of our existing businesses, make sure that we have an environment in City Hall that it fosters their ability to expand. So the small business development is absolutely critical. Along with that, we must work with our community college to make sure that we are preparing our students to take the jobs of the future. So we've done economic studies in the city of Chula Vista that have identified key economic sectors. And if we work with the community college to make sure that our students are trained in those jobs that are growing and leave behind those kinds of programs where there's no growth, then that's a thing that will also enhance our ability to attract jobs. Because I worked on several projects here when I worked for Trade and Commerce, and one of the barriers that we had was that we didn't have the specific workforce that that company needed for their particular business. So we must make sure that we're training them correctly. The other thing that we need to do is to make sure that we have available pads ready for them. In other words, we have property that's ready for the businesses to come so that they can open up within 18 months and not have them try to wait for 2 years to get a company opening, because the time is money to those companies, and they will go to another community if they have ready to build pads already. We must preserve our industrial land space here in Chula Vista. There's always a pressure to rezone areas, to change our general plan so that they'll fit more housing rather than the job centers that we need here. So you have my commitment as mayor that we will retain our industrial base here, our industrial lands, and that we will streamline processes, make things certain for businesses so that they can locate here and take care of our existing businesses. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any questions, Mr. Rindorn?
I have created a comprehensive jobs plan for the city of Chula Vista, and that can be seen on my website. I would submit that you, at your earliest opportunity, go to jerryrindon.com and review that. It's in detail, it's not generalities, and jobs is a critical issue for this community. We need to attract new businesses and industries to Chula Vista. I've worked with the South County EDC and the San Diego Regional EDC as members of both agencies and the local chambers of commerce. And as I said earlier in my opening statements, I served as the president of the Chula Vista Chamber this last year. And we have nearly 800 members of the chamber, of which 85% of them are small businesses. We also need to foster cross-border partnerships to target growth industries in Chula Vista. The councils, which I've had the honor to serve, has done a great deal of work on projects in establishing East Lake, Otay Ranch Town Center, and we've done a good job. But we need to continue moving forward for plans to develop the Bayfront, the Millennium Village, which is on its way in the Otay Ranch area, and benefit the entire city. We have staff that is continually committed to move along and to streamline the application process, and that's something that the Chula Vista Chamber has been working this last year with staff to do, and to increase incentives for new businesses. As your mayor, I will ensure the implementation of the Bayfront project, the largest Bayfront project in all of California, and this will expand attractions to our residents and bring much needed jobs, housing, to the city of Chula Vista. The Bayfront plan can continue to revitalize our community, especially the 3rd Avenue corridor. I remember once when I was invited to San Antonio for a conference, and I said, why do you want to go to San Antonio? Well, they have the river walk, and that's part of the benefit the Bayfront will bring attractions to the west side. I will work hard to strive to promote more businesses and more jobs in Chula Vista. Thank you.
We're going to continue with the first question, and we're going to go to Mr. Padilla.
Thank you. First of all, I think we have to recognize that Chula Vista is not sustainable. We can't survive as a city as a residential community only, because in the long run, residential and the services demanded by residents become a net drain on city coffers. They don't continue to contribute the way they do when they're first built. And that's why when the economy collapsed, Chula Vista's revenue portfolio was not as diverse as it should have been, because we didn't have a balance of commercial and industrial and high-tech jobs that we could have to provide revenue to the city. First, we need to make sure our major projects happen. The Bayfront needs to be implemented appropriately. That's nearly 9,000 potential jobs coming to the community. We need to push on the University Park and Innovation District. And we need to do some things, and I'll come back to this, differently in the urban core in downtown. The city's already started a business strategic plan that looks at business clusters that are positioned to be helped by our workforce and to be helped by the city of Chula Vista if they would invest here. And that includes advanced manufacturing and clean technology, public education, of course, and communication industries. I think that we need to look at creating special incentive zones, working with our state legislators to renew tax investment zones, to look at tax holidays for certain types of industries. We have to understand what it is as a community we have to offer in our workforce and partner better with schools and with community colleges and maybe a future university to develop our workforce. I would take another look at the urban core specific plan in downtown Chula Vista to see if that plan has the right elements in it, the right land use elements and the right densities that are going to encourage people to invest and bring jobs to the older neighborhoods. And I think lastly, communication. There are a lot of businesses here in Chula Vista now that never hear from City Hall, that we need to reach out to and say, what's it like doing business in Chula Vista? What are your needs? What are your issues? I would reestablish the city's red team that would be ready to bring all the public and private partner resources to bear to entice an investor that's interested in investing in Chula Vista. So there's a lot that we can do, but we have to improve that jobs housing balance, or we're not going to survive as a community.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, for seat number 2, we'll go with Mr. Smith first.
So the question specifically, what do we want to do with the west side and the east side? So let's start with the west side. The first thing I would do is, first of all, tell you all that I have a business. I operate with my wife on 3rd Avenue, right in the heart of Chula Vista. I get up every morning and I go to work, just like many of you. And what I would do is I would set up a liaison. We have so many staff that's working with the city to really foster the growth of the small business, to help them. When I went in to get my business license, I felt like I was bothering the staff. And I think that that is something that we can change. And I don't think it's anything that they meant to happen. I think that we need to really encourage small business growth. We need to invite them. We need to be business friendly. We can't look at code enforcement as a source of revenue. We have to look at business growth as a source of revenue. So that's what I would do in the west side. And obviously everybody's talking about the Bayfront. We've got to get the Bayfront done. There's no question about that. Let's talk about the east side. There's some exciting things happening. Now, many of you may know that the SR 125 is being connected to the 905. That's the Otay crossing at the border. So many of the goods cross through San Diego County through the different freeways. Well, there's no real connection between the Otay crossing right now and the 125. I think that connector is going to make a huge difference. We can start with light industrial and do this assembly, these assembly plants like I was talking about that are in North County right now. And why aren't they here? We are the 2nd largest city in the county of San Diego. We need those jobs. There is no reason that our light industrial can't be dedicated to the clean jobs, great jobs for all of you. For many of those of you that are going to Southwestern, it's jobs. It's all about jobs. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Our last candidate, Ms. Aguilar.
Thank you. First of all, Professor, I need to take a minute to rebut something that my opponent just said. He said that I want to keep Chula Vista a residential community. Nothing could be further from the truth. And the fact that he says that tells me that he doesn't come to many city council meetings, because if he did, he would know that the city, we talk all the time on the city council about what we call the jobs housing imbalance in Chula Vista. We have too much housing and not enough in the way of jobs. And every time a developer has come before the city council and wanted to convert their land use from commercial to residential, I voted against it because I know we need to have jobs here in our city. How do we do it? So now I'll answer the question. 2 ways. We have in Chula Vista an amazing assortment of small businesses. The problem is nobody knows they're there, nobody knows what they do, and my opponent has a good point. When they come to City Hall, very often they don't get the kind of respect and treatment that they deserve. We need to find a way to encourage and nourish our existing small businesses, and one of the things I'm doing is I'm going around the city and visiting these small businesses and getting a better understanding of what they're doing. So we need to encourage our existing wealth of small businesses. The other thing that's critical to bringing jobs to Chula Vista is a 4-year university. The South Bay we have 3 public universities in San Diego County. One's out in the La Mesa area, one's in La Jolla, and one's in San Marcos. The South Bay, and Chula Vista in particular, needs and deserves a 4-year university. A 4-year university will have all sorts of spin-off effects to create new jobs for our city. So that's the dual approach: nourish our existing small businesses and get a university here, which will be the catalyst for new businesses in our city. But we must change the jobs housing balance that we have now. As Mr. Padilla said, the current situation is simply not sustainable.
Provided a 1-minute opportunity for either a follow-up or a rebuttal, which they could define if they like, or they can go ahead and use this opportunity. So we're going to go in the same order. Ms. Salas?
Okay, this is question number 2.
This is an opportunity for either a follow-up or rebuttal to the first question. If you don't have me, that's fine.
I don't.
Okay, Mr. Rendon? Okay, anyone on the side?
Yeah, does anybody have a Pat Aguilar sign out in the audience? And what does that say? It says, working for residential.
Residents.
For residents. Is that residents?
Residents.
Working for residents.
Yes.
What I'm talking about is jobs for residents. And what we really need to talk about are also the opportunities that we have with the Olympic Training Center to put together that 4-year university, and Ms. Aguilar has that right on point. That's what we need to get going with the tech hub. We can really do a great job. A Polytech type university works hand in hand with all the former military that have such incredible talents that they would like to use here in the South Bay to get businesses going, to put all of you to work. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I just want to point out that I respect and understand the difficulty of squeezing in so much information in such a short period of time, and I appreciate you being patient with this, but it's the nature of the beast. We have one other follow-up, then you have 1 minute. Thank you.
Well, I'd like to have my rebuttal time anyway, because I'd like to pretend that John is here, and I can guess what he might say, which is that he has been responsible for every positive economic development in the history of the city, and he is the lone reformer at the Sweetwater Union High School District. And since we're talking about jobs and economic development, one of the most important factors that affect a community's well-being when it comes to jobs is the quality of our schools. And I have to say that the disaster that is the Sweetwater Union High School District is inexcusable, it is an embarrassment, and every single one of those board members should be held accountable for it, including Mr. McCann, and it is one of the biggest deterrents to people to investing in our community and bringing jobs here that there is. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Again, we keep it my moderator's prerogative in that he's not present. It's not really fair to give you more time, unless somebody's actually addressing something that you need to follow up on.
Well, I wish you had a proxy or something.
Unfortunately,
We need
not.
to argue with somebody.